Thirsty Thursday. What's up, Big D? Big D Energy, Matt Shepard in for Neil Rule. Who, do you know where Neil is today, Shep?
I don't.
He's interviewing,
emceeing
royalty for the Basketball Hall of Fame. What, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson?
Yeah.
Who else?
It's the American Basketball Hall of Fame. He's emceeing their class this year. He said there's a bunch of names that are going to be.
Where's that at?
I'm not sure exactly, but they
American Basketball Hall of Fame, created by Canadians. Yeah. Darren McCarty, Matt Shepard, in for Neil Rule, Michael Gentry, Spenmo Rats, which is a great place to start. Why don't we start at Canada's real national sport in hockey?
Lacrosse?
How about those Red Wings? Yeah, lacrosse too. But I never played. I played rugby, not lacrosse.
So that surprised me a little bit. The rugby doesn't.
No.
But the lacrosse surprised me a little bit.
Timing.
Yeah.
Timing and in Canada, you're right, because lacrosse is so big, and box lacrosse, so in the arenas, like Shanny was a huge player.
Oh, was
All
he?
the guys near Toronto that played, Peterborough, stuff like that, the guys that played junior B in Peterborough, they were national lacrosse champions.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's a great sport, man. It really is.
I'll tell you this right now,
it's a phenomenal sport.
If you want to get into a rabbit hole of Google, go Google lacrosse goalie fights.
Okay.
Because in lacrosse, so it's the same as a hockey fight, except they're on their feet.
Yeah.
So that means there's no
it's
leverage
awesome.
and stuff.
Yeah.
It's something, and then they got the gear and.
Yeah, I think they get kicked out if they fight. I don't think they get the 2 minutes. My son played in college.
But in college, field lacrosse
is different than box lacrosse.
It is.
He played box lacrosse in the off season. In case people are wondering, box lacrosse, the net is much smaller. The goalies have much bigger pads, and it's a much more condensed.
Well, it's in a hockey rink.
Yeah, it's much more condensed.
Hockey rink instead of a soccer field.
Yeah, but it's a phenomenal sport. I really wish Detroit had one. I wish they had one in the spring. A professional lacrosse league team here, because it's massive in this area. I mean, people love it. Kids are playing on a regular basis. I think it's one of the highest, if not the highest, or fastest growing sports in America.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal sport.
No.
But to your point, the other sport, hockey, Red Wings are rolling now in January. They're 6-0-1 in their last 7. There was a time where when they first acquired Patrick Kane, people were wondering just a little bit, what's wrong, right? We got this superstar. We got this guy to fill a void that is needed. This team can't get any traction. And now they are playing exceptional hockey. We always felt, and I think justifiably so, they needed at least 4 goals to win. You and I just looked it up. Twice this year, they have won when not scoring 4 goals.
Yesterday included, correct?
Yesterday included. They win in overtime, 3-2 over Florida, who they lost. I believe they were winless in their last 10 against the Panthers, something like that. And then on this run that they've been, they also beat Anaheim 3-2. So maybe that's a turning point. What are you noticing about this team's recent trend? I don't want to get too far ahead and say they're fixed, because we have a tendency to probably overreact during losing streaks and winning streaks, unless you've lost 28 in a row. I'm wondering what your feeling is on this recent trend.
No, you nailed it, right? You nailed it. Where does this start? Where we always said, keeping the puck out of your net. Mm-hmm. And who's doing that right now? Who's the MVP of this run? Who's the guy they're leaning on? Alex Lyon, which we always said, which was a big, like we're talking about here in Detroit about, we just experienced our guys and going against former guys and how much it meant in the Rams-Lions game. Well, last night was a little indicative, because Alex Lyon took this team, the Florida Panthers they played against last night, to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. So there is that professionalism in there. Mm-hmm. But the fact they keep it out of the net, the fact that they win a game, right? They're second of the year in not scoring 4 goals. And who led the way? Who is the one that I always said that no matter where this team goes, the rest of them follow, and it's their captain.
Yeah. And he got the game winner, in case people
shout
didn't
out
know.
to D-Boss, Dylan Larkin leading the way. You mentioned Patrick Kane. Not in the lineup last night.
Right.
Won't be in the lineup against Tampa Bay, which it doesn't get any easier. So when we sit here this morning, enjoy the journey. right? Because we've all been through the ebbs and flows, but you're sitting third in the Atlantic right now, and if you control your destiny, that means keep playing the way that you're playing, and you don't have to win 5 out of 6 games or 6 out of 7 games, but you got to keep pace. And that's exactly what they've done. I said to Spenny, isn't this deja vu sort of all over again? Because isn't it this time in January last year, middle of the month, where we just snuck into the playoffs and then we had to go play Ottawa, right? And then, boom, the season was over. Spenny, am I correct about that?
Yep.
About a year ago, right?
Yeah.
So
we
this
made
is
that
an
nice
interesting
trip on the West Coast and then went to Ottawa. Yeah.
So it's interesting because what do I preach? Learning from your mistakes. What was the biggest thing, like Scotty Bowman, is don't make the same mistake twice. So again, the leadership in that locker room with the guys that they've added, the guys that they've had that have been there, the younger guys getting better. You know, like that's the one thing you're seeing. Obviously, you have to have the maturation of your star guys and the most siders, things like that. But you look at the maturation this season of a Lucas Raymond, which you needed.
Michael Rasmussen.
Look at how valuable. Spenny, what did I tell you about Fabry?
Yeah.
What did I say about Fabry?
He can stay healthy.
If he stays healthy, he's a great second line guy that can put the puck in the net, and he's proven it. He scored big goals this year. So, they did it without Kane, which is a bonus because you're looking. They found a way, and they kept Florida, who before last night was 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. You got Bobrovsky, you got everything. They went in to that building and played
really good.
Absolutely great road game. So I know we're in the sort of dead days of the season, but this is when Derek Lalonde and the coach, and this is where the perseverance, right? Because I don't know if there was question marks where people wanted him fired or whatever like this, but there's people having question marks, is this the right guy? Because it's taken a little bit longer, right? But what do we see now, Spenny? Mike, I'll go to you, our Lions guy. That 1-1-3, their defensive play along this last streak. This team has looked different, mostly on the defensive end, have they not?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. They've still let up a lot of good scoring chances, but you've seen Lyon be able to have more time and to react more to that, and that's been a big key about it. And when we're talking about the offense, it's been a lot of different guys scoring. They have 6 different guys with 10-plus goals, and then they have, I want to say, 4 others that are sniffing right around it, too. So they've really been scoring from all angles and getting a lot of production from everyone, which has helped. Including
Perron, who missed a wide-open net. Had he hit that, he would have joined that 6-member, 10-goal scoring team. So he'll have his next one will be 10. Lyon had 32 saves, in case people missed it, and the goal scorers were Rasmussen. Really nice hand-eye coordination in front, nice tip in front. Fabry, to your point, and then Larkin, who picked up his 18th of the season, who I think, he's playing as well as perhaps he's ever played, I think.
Well, I think that what we've seen through last year was his coming out party as far as this is my team, and now I'm going to learn, be that point-a-game guy. Now it's developing. So to me, it's not his offensive ability and what he brings. It's that defense. And can he lead the way, like I mentioned yesterday, come up that now his maturation is in the Yzerman going from the 150 points, because that's what the league was back then, into the Selke guy. That's what you're looking for. And if Dylan Larkin has to sacrifice a few points because the defensive part of his game improves, I see, and he's got work to do. And when I use comparisons, I go, what type of player? Dylan Larkin is on the path to be a Patrice Bergeron. Right, that sort of guy.
Wow.
That he's not there. But to me, if Dylan Larkin is drawing comparisons to Patrice Bergeron, right? Because what do you think of Patrice Bergeron first? Not his point a game.
No, I think of a complete player.
So there it is, and that's what Dylan is fighting for now. Like, there's so many little storylines, but as you watch it, and you were here and you saw firsthand also Steve Yzerman's maturation from the third best player in the league to one of the greatest all-around players to ever play the game. I see, and it just sort of takes time. No, Stevie couldn't do it by himself, nor can this kid. And I think that's the understanding that he doesn't have to. And it's coming into that.
I think the fascination in sports, to me, is how great players, and I think we throw that word around way too often. I don't think every player is great.
Sam Flannel doesn't.
Okay. What's that?
I said Sam. No, this is just Sam Flannel chirp.
I think how great players can even get better. How they push themselves to get better. Or something pushes them. I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. But they find that inner drive to, even though they are among the elite, okay? I'll use Nathan McKinnon as an example, who I love him.
Absolutely.
I think
100,000,000%.
I think he's one of the most underrated superstars in all of sports. But how he continues to get better, how Connor McDavid continues to get better, and not that Dylan Larkin is in that class yet, but Dylan Larkin is getting better, and you recognize it. You see how he's maturing.
You know what it is, Shep, and you dawned it right there. These great players that have this talent or whatever can get themselves to a place that mortals can't. But to get beyond that and to be into that next stratosphere of elite legends, Hall of Famers and stuff like that, you need guys around you to push you, right? Or you need guys on the same mentality or that shape, right? The Steve Yzerman got pushed every day by the greatness of Sergei Fedorov and Nick Lidstrom, and then when Igor came in, and just in a different way. For us, right? So for a role guy or whatever, you know how easy it is in that locker room? All you got to do is look and go, oh, where's he? Oh, he's in there? Okay, I'll go. And just follow Stevie and Drapes around, or Nick, or whatever. If they're doing it, just go do it.
Yeah.
And if you shouldn't be doing it, then, why don't you go work on some, some squats for your legs or some box jumps instead of, you don't need to do curls, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's just more or less direction. But I think a lot of times the top edge guys, those elite guys, need to be pushed too within. I look back, right? There's always used to be the daily double, right? What made Forsberg so good? I think Sakic, and the guys around him, the Waz, and when you have that championship mentality, and that works the same way as what you try to implement when you bring in guys that have won.
Yeah.
Right. So the eliteness is that different level of championship. So we're watching this journey right here in front of our eyes now. Right now, my clock, right, Shep? So I put a clock on the Detroit Lions a couple of years ago, took it off their rate. My Lions clock is so on point, it's not even funny.
It is
the Red Wings clock, I have them making the playoffs this year.
You put
right?
my
So
clock
hopefully
into your
now
mouth.
they can learn from last year and use what they've done in these last 6 games and keep going.
I'll use a good story from when DMAC played, and I covered them. I remember talking to Dominic Hasek, who came in. This is a world-class goalie. Mm-hmm. This is a Hall of Fame goalie. Something was missing from the resume, right? And I remember talking to him about the work ethic. And he said, remember, Joe Louis Arena, here's the locker room. The weight room was over here. The exit was right here, right around the corner from Hasek's locker room. Because as soon as you walk in the locker room, past the stick bin, you turn left, there's Hasek's stall. All right? The weight room's over here. These guys, after practice, after games, are always over there. And Hasek said, it's really hard to leave, to turn right, when you see all the guys going over there.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who has, you could not have accomplished a whole lot more than what he did as an individual.
Absolutely.
Right? Yet he looked and noticed the work ethic, the push that these guys had to be great, to take it and elevate their game that much more. And it affected him. That tells you something.
That falls right in line with what I always preach about. Right? When the guy next to you is more important than you are to yourself.
Yep.
That's
one of my
exactly
favorite
what
sayings.
He's talking about.
Yeah. You said it the other day, and it's it's become one of my favorite sayings. I want to thank you for that.
But, hey, no problem, Shep. You know what else you can thank me for if you need a haircut?
I'm waiting for the
after?
transition.
Where to go? Look it. We got her all tiled down. Thanks, Beth. Come to Lady Jade's Haircuts for Medford award-winning haircut experience. And you can also register to win a trip of your dreams. All expenses paid. Sweet. To the 2024 NCAA basketball tourney. Man, March Madness coming up quick, Spenny, isn't it? That's right.
Sure is.
No expense spared for 5 of your best buds and you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Don't forget to register. It's wicked awesome.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot off the press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Dreaming of a new home but feeling the financial pinch? Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 your closing costs. That's right, I said $5,000. Call Mark White and Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White today at 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true. Now, back to Shep and D-Mac.
Certain words and quotes oftentimes catch our attention. They fascinate me. This was the quote after the overtime win in Florida last night by Dylan Larkin. We got on a roll. We've got our identity going. It's been great. What do you think he means by identity? What's their identity?
Well, their identity is, like, their identity going means that 1-1-3, that defensive, right, not giving. When they talk about identity, it means they're playing more of the 60-minute game that we speak of, meaning dictating the play or whatever else, not giving up, the opportunities. The biggest thing, getting the saves when they need them. That's what Alex Lyon's been performing. So your identity, I think more what he's talking about is like pretty much like, we won a game where we kept the team to 2 goals and we didn't have to, right? Like that has to be more of their identity to win a 3-2 game than it is to win a 5-4 or a 6-5 game, right?
Copy.
So the identity of what's being preached, which in this league is keeping the puck out of your net, and for them to accomplish that, I think also what I hear there is you don't want to get too high, you don't want to get too low. They're just doing what they expect. These are reaching their own expectations, which is what I have expectations for him too. So again, it comes from the best part, Shep, is we can score goals now. Yeah. We can score goals with the rest of the team. We weren't able to do that before. Now that's checkmark one thing. Now we gotta concentrate on the rest.
I thought what was really key last night, Mike, you probably noticed the same thing. They tie it at 1. Okay, they get the tip goal. Florida immediately, and in case people didn't watch the game, Florida really carried the pace early on. After they got the goal, it's almost like, I hate the phrase, but it's almost like Detroit woke up. And the Wings bounced back, started putting more pressure on, more offensive zone coverage, and more control of the puck in the offensive zone. And then Rasmussen gets the tip goal. Everybody's celebrating, right? 1-1. 16 seconds later, Florida scores to make it 2-1. And I thought, knee-jerk reaction. Well, it's going to be that kind of night. I mean, how are you going to respond from that? I think sometimes teams reveal their character more when they're down than when they're leading.
Bingo. There it is. Adversity. What are you going to find out? And why would you immediately go there, Shep? Because what has happened more times than not to this team, right? They made 2 big faux pas early in that game. Giving up a shorthanded goal and letting the team score immediately next shift after tying it up. Those are faux pas in the game. But again, like you said, sometimes it's the fact like wake up, right? So I think that what has helped those guys, if I'm going to take you inside the locker room, like between periods or whatever like that, they're feeling themselves because they know they just went on the West Coast and swept those games, and they came home and played Edmonton tough and won a big game against LA. Like, they know who they are right now, so to get back to their identity and play. So they're still overcoming a few malfeasances on their own part throughout the game, right? Giving up odd-numbered rushes. The fact is you're getting saves on those now. Alex Line I don't know, I could probably make a highlight reel of glove saves in the past week or so, but they haven't gone in the net. So, yes, adversity will tell you, like, are you going to sink or are you going to swim? And to your point, that felt like one of those games that enough, we're done.
Every team's going to give up those odd man rushes, though, right? Should I be cautious? Okay.
It's you're going to give them up, but you can't give them up at the pace that the Wings give up 4 or 5 a game.
Gotcha. Okay.
If you're going to give up one because you're going to make a pinch or whatever like that, you can live with that because you can ask your goalie to bail you out once, maybe twice. You give them more than that, you're just asking. You're just asking for trouble.
What do you like about their overall makeup? And when I say that, I mean veterans and younger players. It's not always rookies, right? Sometimes it's there's a difference between rookies and young pros in any sport. Guys can be first year in, but a guy like Rasmussen, even I wouldn't say Larkin any longer, but Raymond, Sider, those guys are young pros now. So you've got the Kopf and the Comfers, and you've got the Matas who had 2 assists. You've got some younger guys who've been around for a while. Petrie, they've been around for a while. And then you've got the younger pros as well. What do you like about that balance?
I do. I like what, we always talk about the culture and the locker room. Like the number one thing is, and this that I know, is these guys all like each other. Right, so they want to play for each other, and you have that mix of veteran guys with younger guys. I think that the key with Stevie is you look at the role guys that he's put together. Look at Daniel Sprong, and what he's provided. You look at Christian Fischer, who moved up to the third line yesterday and was as effective as that. Like your
really
role
good,
guys, right?
Plus one,
you added the Sherratts and Prawns last year, but it's just those little intricacies. You look at Gostisbehere. You know what I'm saying? Like how he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, on the power play and stuff like this. I think what you're seeing, Shep, is that Stevie put the ingredients together, and it's more or less, a lot of it is personalities that'll figure it out, that won't quit, that will work. Like these guys will work. Now they got to work smarter, right? And then I think that's what we're seeing is they're working smarter and the comfortability. It goes back to the quote where Larkin says is that we're playing to our expectations. This is the way we're supposed to play.
Yeah, that's cool.
So sometimes it just takes time to get there. And I think that there's been also too, you look at the way that the lines have been switched up and the deep ends have paired, like Derek Lalonde and his coaching staff is still trying to find what is the best combination. I think we know it on the power play. We're pretty happy, Mikey, with the way the power play has been clicking and the special teams.
Even just the way they move the puck on the power play is so much more impressive, I think. Even if they're not scoring, the way they move it, the way they spread it out. You would know better than I would, but the way I view them, it seems like it's much crisper than it has been in the past.
Well, it's got to do with entries, and adding a Gostisbehere
Ghost for sure.
and a Kane and stuff like that. Which helps puck possession. But the thing is that when they get a power play, they more times than not, like 85% of the time, look like they can score. They're gonna score.
So Wings a winner last night. Pistons a loser last night by 7 at home to Minnesota. Now Minnesota's really good. They are. I'm not going to sit there and say this is acceptable. But Anthony Edwards had 27. Karl Anthony Towns is a really good player. This is one of the better teams in the West. Some might argue it's the best team in the West right now. But the Pistons, the reason I bring this up is not to necessarily dive into Pistons basketball. Don't take this out of context because they're 4 up and 37 down. But The reason I bring it up now is because I just asked you about the makeup of the Wings and the balance of young pros and veterans. And you said they like one another. They play for one another. I don't view that the way the Pistons play.
No, you. That's exactly like you look at the Lions and you look at the Red Wings, and then you look in the locker room, and they're not there. They're searching like everything, and the conversation always goes back to the Pistons. But do you like this guy? Do you like this guy? Do you like this guy? So is it just they're going through it right now? And I believe that it has to only make them better moving forward. I think that it's not bad that Cade Cunningham is sitting out right now.
Why?
We saw because I think mentally it was getting to him, just as a young guy, because he's throwing everything that he can at him, and then it doesn't matter. So maybe it's just a bit of a reset. But yeah, what's going on in that locker room is not going on in the locker room across LCA or in Allen Park. Thank God.
Yeah, Jaden Ivey was pretty good last night. I mean, if you look at
career high, right?
Yeah, if you look at the box score, what do you have? 32. 32. Yeah. Okay, but some people wonder if he individually is better without Cade Cunningham than with Cade Cunningham. How would you make that argument?
How can you make any argument when you have 4 wins?
How can you make any argument when you're trying to convince people you're better without your team's best player?
Oh, I don't think you're better without your team's best player. I think that right now it's like a mental, like these are young guys too. So you gotta you have to worry about their psyche. Like there's one thing for them to play out of it together, but the one thing that, especially with them, is Monty Williams comes out and he goes a couple months ago and says this team can't handle adversity. So until what you're seeing with the Red Wings is the opposite of what you're seeing with the Pistons. But you also have to understand the Wings are further along the road than where the Pistons are.
That's a good point. Yep.
I mean, you just got, I guess, as a Detroit sports fan and for anybody who's a Pistons fan, you just got to hope that all this is like the 0-16 Lions season and the benefit is down the road, like it is now for the Lions.
We're going to talk Lions on the other side. He's Darren McCarty. I'm Matt Shepard. This is Big
so
D
Nick,
Energy.
Shut up. Jesus, annoying in there. Just we wanted to talk a little bit of something else. You're right, it is Woodward Sports, but we are bricked up. We had to let Spenny get unbricked for a minute. The kid can't walk around all bricked up for a whole week.
It's true.
Try to give him some relaxation. Let me tell you about Guardian. So if you want anything, right, Spenny, anything protected, you got to go to Guardian Alarm. It's the new year. Guardian's offering you customized solutions from real experts, professional technicians who take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. But I need you to call Guardian Alarm today. The number, 1-800.
Stay out.
24/7 professional monitoring. Call anytime, day or night. Go to the Guardian team member. A real person will stay on the phone as long as it's needed. But I need you to call the number, 1-800.
Stay out.
Technology backed by people. Like I said, real people. Your safety and security deserves technology. It's been proven to work. And people have been proven to care. Business, pleasure. Guardian don't care. They just want you to call the number, 1-800.
Stay out. Stay out of the middle of the field or you might get your kneecaps bitten by Kirby Joseph Buccaneers.
Facts. Guardian Alarm, your local security experts, tell them Big D Energy. We sent you.
Have you ever wondered where all the finest restaurants get their steaks? It's Fairway Packing Company, providing Michigan restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef for over 60 years. But now you can buy these cuts of meat for yourself at the Steak Shop by Fairway Packing Company. Prime porterhouse, A5 Japanese New York strip steak, dry aged Wagyu beef tomahawk. Delicious. Get to the Steak Shop today. Enjoy fine wine, have a private party, and get the finest cuts of meat anywhere. The Steak Shop on Mack Avenue in Grosse Pointe Woods, or order online, fairwaypacking.com.
At Planet Fitness, you can get energy without the judgment.
Hi, can you help me with this?
You don't know how to use it?
This is better.
Join now through January 19th for just 24 cents down, $10 a month. Never intimidating, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. Join today during the Big Fitness Energy Sale for 24 cents down, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal extended through January 19th.
Over 50 Metro Detroit locations.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer. Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. With 18 locations, there's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit feldmanauto.com to find the location nearest to you. Catch Woodward Sports Network live from Feldman Chevrolet of Novi every Monday. That's Big D Energy and the Morning Woodward Show. Chevrolet of Novi. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer. Now, back to Matt Shepard and Darren McCarty.
As we continue to revel in the Lions' win over the Rams from last weekend, that creates another home playoff game for Detroit, which has us all excited. And it's the first time in our lifetime that you had 2 playoff home games in a season. More and more is kind of leaking out what took place in that game. I think one of the beauties that what the NFL does, and other teams, I don't know why they don't copy this, but they've got that all-access type of feel with, the microphones on the field. All right? You can call it a parab. It's got that big circle with a big mic out of the middle, right? You've seen it? Mm-hmm. Almost looks like a saucer. Somebody's on the sideline. Getting that sound. Getting the sound of what's taking place on the field. We can't hear it always in a television broadcast, but you can hear it in the postgame or the days following a team's win or loss. Matthew Stafford called Kirby Joseph dirty as blank, dirty as F.
Yes, he did.
After Joseph hit tight end Tyler Higbee low and around the knees. And Stafford's quote exactly, and I don't think we can play it. Can we?
We cannot play it.
We cannot play it. But he said, hey, man, that's a good hit. You're dirty as blank, though, and you know it. You're dirty as blank. It's been on tape. I've seen it. It's been on tape.
So timeout.
Okay.
Start that again. What was the first thing he said?
Hey, that's a good hit.
Okay.
So it makes no sense for him to say that.
Wait. No, it makes sense that on tape or whatever else, but we're not talking about this because I was like, unfortunately, Higbee got injured, but that was a clean hit. Mm-hmm. So to the fact, here's the one thing, which I like, right? There's somebody complaining about a specific that you said it was a clean hit. It's sort of, I'm going to use the analogy of Connor Bedard, this young superstar in Chicago, who just got his jaw broke by Brendan Smith on an absolute open ice clean. It couldn't be cleaner. Smitty, that was as textbook as you want. Skates on the ice, shoulder through, coming through the middle. Yep. Here's the caveat, right? That's the perfect compliment to everybody to hear. Now, if the NFL or the league knows that you're dirty, knows that you play above the edge, you're on their radar.
Yeah, your reputation
Everybody knows that.
Right.
But the fact that you're telling me that in this instance or whatever, Kirby Joseph is playing to the line or whatever. So Mike Evans, Godwin, all the tight ends, Otto or Otten and whoever else for Tampa, back of their mind, they know that. Yeah, they know coming out over the middle, they're going to get lit. So, thank you, Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Thank you for...
But by the way, he didn't say clean hit. He said good hit. There's a difference, okay?
Doesn't, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Good hits usually, I should say don't get penalized. Good hits shouldn't get penalized, right? It's playing so what are you telling me as Kirby Joseph, you play on that edge? Right? To me, isn't that what our coach, how he wants to play? To me, that sounds like a guy that bites kneecaps. Now, you don't want guys, listen, we would be the first ones here, right? Arguing if guys were out there taking cheap shots, costing 15-yard penalties, doing it, and stuff like this. No, I like the fact That's what you want from the other team, right? That's what you want on your team. Now, do you not think there's guys that if you went to the Lions and asked them who are the other, Kirby Joseph's one of how many guys in this league that you could say the same thing about?
Yeah, I think I'm not saying it was a dirty hit, but I think the perspective from the Rams might be you're going low at the kneecap, and it's pretty obvious. Usually, there are unwritten rules in your sport. There are unwritten rules in football, too, and one of them is at the knees. That's how you end players' careers. Again, I'm not justifying what Stafford said. All I'm telling you is that's probably where they're coming from. You don't go to the head, and you don't go to the knees.
As a player, then you know what? Right? This is a self-governing thing. Mm-hmm. So you know what? The fact that you know that's going to happen, so it's either something that we're talking about those conversations and we can hear them after. Well, that's where the big dogs on the offensive line or whoever your alpha is to make sure that doesn't happen. Or if it does happen, then you know what? Then it's more or less eye for an eye. But that's more of a like if the referees aren't going to protect you or aren't going to call, and what are you talking about? This is the NFL. Anything close, right, is going to get called.
Yeah, I mean, look.
It's like this is like bullshit because the league's so soft, anyways. So I would think it'd be harder, so much harder to have a dirty hit.
Yeah. So in the chat, Chuck brings up a good point. He says, "Look, the league has made going high illegal. If you got that problem, then make that going illegal." Somebody else wrote in the chat, let's just change tackling to tickling. To your point, I mean, it's kind of that's a good line, Art.
Well, think about it. Think about how many times you're watching, you're into it, and it's a football player or whatever, and then you got to hold your breath to see. Wait, was there a flag?
Yeah,
and they call what they want. They don't call what they don't want. I mean, you look at. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, I as anybody like me that here's my you watch my reaction. I'll wait till the play's over at 5, 10.
Yeah, right.
5th. Where's the flag?
Yeah.
Where's
Can the ref
flag?
find the flag and then throws it late? I actually feel like more and more sports, and I don't want to. I hate to take a knock on soccer because I'm sure there's a lot of soccer fans out there, but oftentimes you see them overreact to some type of physical contact, right? Now you see in football, as I watch a ball be thrown down the field, I see this on a regular basis from cornerbacks to make sure they know, as in an exaggerated form, I'm not holding or touching the receiver. I see the receiver doing the same thing, like, how come you're not calling it? I also see that more and more in hockey and basketball than I ever had before. And I wonder why that is. It's a pretty regular basis.
No, you're right. You're right. When you're talking in hockey, when a guy's like forechecking or going around a guy, and he goes like this. He'll let go of not let go of the stick, but he'll do like that because I'm not holding him. Okay, I'm not slashing him. There's nothing there.
So
to me, it's because of the way the games are officiated.
Yeah.
I mean, also too, like in that conversation. I mean, when did you ever see offensive pass interference growing up called? Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
But remember that when I was a kid, you could hit downfield. There wasn't that.
So the rules have evolved, or whatever. But what I'm saying is that
you've got to make contact within the first 5 yards.
It seems like every play that pass downfield, you could call it either way.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like so, it's where's the fine line? So I guess again, it comes down to what's more important, and we've seen this is who's the officiators. Who's going to let them play? Who's going to, and it's...
Yeah, I think it's in football. I think it's more than that. I think it's a determination.
Just call it the same way for both teams. Either I don't care what it is, but
Agreed.
At the end of the day, right? Do things even out? What do I mean by that? As a Lions fan, you know what? I was, pissed like everybody else how they blow the false start offside because that was going to cost us points to whatever. But you know what? They made up for it, and the old school way is because ticky-tack and how many times would have Sutton or Gardner Johnson been called for tugging on Nakua's jersey at the end. So to me, there's your even up.
But the problem with the evening out.
No, but I'm saying it goes down to the officials.
No, I understand that. My problem with the whole balancing out is one costs Detroit an opportunity to score. The other may have cost them a first down.
I get it, but you can't. You're not always going to even for even, right? Usually when there's something as egregious as what it was that can't get turned back, right? You can only, like, it's so far egregious, you're not going to make a call that egregious the other way, so it's got to be a little bit. I understand that, but to me, that's, from my experience with officiating, is that, you know what, it was one of those that I got called for a penalty early. I asked the referee during the period, you're wrong. Please go look at that and come and tell me. And he comes and he goes, I was wrong. I apologize. And then later on in the game, maybe there's a ticky-tack the other way, and they call an even up on a trip or something that didn't really matter. Like, that stuff happened all the time.
Yeah.
So I just like a fair shake. At the end of the day, you want that fair shake. So
do we
but does it bother me at the end to where we started that other teams are telling me that my guys are dirty? No. Absolutely not. I played with Draper and Maltby my whole career.
You got to have your head on a swivel when you're playing the Lions, and that's a good thing. Do we have Dan Campbell's reaction to that?
Yeah.
Can you give us that, Spence?
Yeah,
in case
for
people
sure.
missed it. Here's Dan Campbell on Kirby Joseph's hit.
Kirby Joseph, he's caught some flack for a couple of hits he's made the last couple of weeks. Just wondering what you say to him, if you counsel him about his play style at all, or you comfortable with the way that he's...
Look, that's how we play football here. Just keep your head up, see what you hit. You know, that'll always be what I tell Kirby. You know, just keep your eyes up so you don't hit on the crown of your helmet and, you know, you hit a spine, you know, you mess yourself up there. Just see what you hit. But no, I mean, he's going for the thigh board and you know, staying away from the head. And, you know, that's how we play defense here. We're not dirty. It's just, you know, we hit.
Love that, man. Love that he's going for the thigh board. See, here's what gets lost.
And head up.
Yeah, here's what gets lost in all this. The game isn't played in slow motion. It's not in frame to frame in a camera. I don't think Kirby Joseph goes knee hunting. Where he might be aiming, the thigh board may have changed once he lunges toward Higbee and Higbee's body changes. That's a hard thing for us to always gauge. So instead of us always looking at the final results of the slow motion or the click of the camera on where he's hitting him, how about where he started? That might help us a little bit on determining whether or not Kirby Joseph is indeed dirty or not.
Yeah, but who cares? The coach just has your back and said we're going to play hard and whatever like this.
Yeah, and by the way, his hat, that hat that says grit, who wants one?
I want one.
I got one.
For sure.
Oh, you got one?
Oh, hell yeah.
See? Look at I got
gets
one.
all the cool
Yeah,
stuff.
he gets all the stuff. I mean, you know, instead of saying to Mike and Spencer and me, hey, you know, I'm going to help you guys and I'm going to get you one. What do you do?
Guys, I got
one.
Yeah. He was politicking with Dan Campbell at training camp, too.
Listen, you know, maybe you might have just handed me one there. It might be out of his personal grit stash.
Very well could be.
All right, when we come back, some controversy over Detroit's quarterback. Not their ex-quarterback, their current quarterback. We'll tell you about that after this.
But first, let me tell you about Premier Pet Supply, because when it comes to your pet, don't settle. Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. The same prices and all the conveniences of the online and big box retailers, with one major difference: family and locally owned and operated for 30 plus years. Over 60 brands of food with nutrition experts to help you daily. Same day local curbside home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best at www.premierpetsupply.com.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
At work and at home. We're there with smarter security solutions, featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Are you tired of the same old Detroit sports merch? All you have to do is go to woodwardsports.com/shop to get the best merch available. We got the toques. You can get yourself one for this cold season. We got sweaters. We got hoodies. We got it all. Make sure you go to woodwardsports.com and click the shop tab to find all of the best Detroit sports wearables. Now back to Shep and D-Mac.
I was talking with a buddy of mine the other day, and he no longer lives in Detroit, but he's a Detroiter. And he says, do you think sometimes we get a little too sensitive? And I said, yeah, I think we do, but I think probably every sports market does. And this came about because of Jared Goff's rankings by people who, why should we really care all that much, I suppose? What really matters is him, his coaching staff, and the players he's accountable to. But these are talking points, these are discussions, and these are something people consume. People read these articles based on the author who is supposedly in the know. So I read this article the other day where they were ranking the 8 NFL quarterbacks left in the divisional round. All right? And the reason I bring this up is, and it's actually catapulted into ESPN and a guy who I respect greatly, Dan Orlovsky, and his top 5 scariest quarterbacks. Jared Goff, on this article from Yahoo Sports, ranking the 8 NFL quarterbacks left in the 2024 divisional round. Where do you think Jared Goff ranks?
3rd.
Gentry? Just take a stab.
You said out of the 8?
Yeah, there's 8 left.
I would say 4th.
D-Mac?
Like ranking stats or ranking?
Just ranking quarterback ability. The guy playing this week.
And who's giving this?
Yeah,
whose opinion?
A Yahoo Sports writer. Right.
6th then.
He's 7th.
So, dude, that's because I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And you know what? That's perfect.
The only player lower than him is Baker Mayfield.
Good. So I told you, you're going to let Baker Mayfield end your dream season? Not a chance.
So those are the things that oftentimes confuse me. I'm thinking, wait a minute. Okay, look, there are certain guys who are playing well. Okay, C.J. Stroud's played well. Josh Allen has played well. Brock Purdy has played well all year long. Lamar Jackson's going to win the MVP. I get it.
I saw it.
Goff has been there.
I saw who edited it. It was B. Katz.
Yeah.
That's a B. Katz list right there.
It is a B. Katz
Brandon
list.
Katz in the chat. That's your sort of stupidity and
fair
idiocracy. Enough. So to me, Shep is who wrote it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It all comes down to, but we can't. It's tough to vet every single writer. Okay. No. So the reason I bring this up is because of this. Agreed. Who gives a crap? Because I don't know who that writer is and what his credentials are. But when Dan Orlovsky, who played in the NFL for 11, 12 years, I know he ran out of the end zone. He's still been around. Is a very good analyst. Breaks down film as well as any analyst on TV. When he then ranks his scariest quarterbacks left, and he doesn't list Jared Goff, it gets my ire up a little bit.
Okay. So here's where I look. You look at who's the Yahoo guy, right? And to what it is, then give him credit and go back to what else has he said. What's his track record to be able to give there? Maybe he's not. No, like if you want to vet properly, or to the other thing about Orlovsky, right? I don't know. Maybe Orlovsky's got some Stafford. You know, he was part of that regime. Maybe he hangs on to the old of not letting it go. I don't know. Maybe he honestly doesn't see Jared Goff in that aspect. But you know what? Dan Orlovsky was a career backup quarterback, and I know he was there, and props to him for being that. But you know what? It doesn't really bear witness to what we have going here. Mm-hmm. That's why, you know, when they say, like, stats are for losers at the end of the day. Like, Jared Goff's your perfect quarterback for this team. Would you not say? Yeah, like this team is built for Jared Goff or Jared Goff.
It seems to be in a system that is very favorable to his skill set and decision making. No doubt.
To win games, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm just saying, if you're looking at, I just don't think he gets enough credit. It's something you and I talked about the other day.
That's what you're trying to say. No, he never will. He never will get enough credit.
So So Dan Orlovsky is going to talk about Jordan Love, who's a really good player, but hasn't proven a ton yet. Baker Mayfield is number 4 on his list.
Well, that's the one that draws you ire, right? Like, are you going to get upset when the Yahoo guy puts Goff at 7 and Baker at 8?
Because a lot of this stuff is for
no,
clicks.
Because your quarterback's better.
Right.
Yeah, but
because a lot of it's for
when
clicks.
you have a former guy that's telling you that the other guy's better than your guy or doesn't give the respect of, you know, what he's done, I mean, okay. You know, big deal. Like, so go prove somebody else wrong. Right? I mean, that's the beauty about Jared Goff. And I know that he hears it or whatever, but it fuels his fire. He's one of those guys that takes his, okay, all right. Right? Because you know what, Shep? He doesn't have to do it alone. He's got all the rest of those guys in there.
Yeah.
That list upset everybody else in that locker room more than it upset Jared Goff. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, you're probably right.
No, I'm telling you. So, like, that's the fact. Do you not think, like, Hutch or, James Hughes is coming or whatever like this, if they read this or whatever and are like, you really think Baker's better than our guy or these guys or our guys getting this?
Yeah.
Guys take that personally. Yeah. You want to diss my captain? You want to diss my goaltender? You want to diss this? Okay. Let's see what at 60 minutes. Let's see what happens on the field.
That goes back to, you caring more about the guy next to you than yourself, right?
That's all part of it.
Yeah,
that's 100,000,000%.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah. And guys sticking up, and you know what? That's the one thing, right? The loyalty. Orlovsky's a Stafford simp, right? And I'm not saying that this played into his ratings, but what I'm saying is it's skewed. I'll sit up here and admit I'm an Yzerman simp. I'll skew towards supporting him no matter what, right? Sometimes maybe oblivious to a little bit of things, but I know in his case it's Steve Yzerman, so we're all wrong. Mm-hmm. Right? This is a little bit different situation.
Yeah, I will say this. Dan Orlovsky, at least, it's not just the Stafford connection, but also the Lions connection. He is very supportive.
So does he do
and defensive toward the Lions when they have played this well this year.
So does he do this because he doesn't want to seem like a homer then?
It's a good question.
Or does he do it for motivation? Does he do it
I think you lose credibility if that's the case. I mean, throwing Baker Mayfield and Jordan Love in there to me ahead of Jared Goff makes no sense. If you want to throw Lamar Jackson in there, you want to throw Josh Allen in there, Patrick Mahomes, I get it. But I think Jared Goff, again, you're right. He doesn't care. His teammates probably care more. There's really no reason for me. But look, we're talking about something, okay? This is what sports is. Sports is about emotion, and it's about trying to justify why you feel the way you do. So we're not just going to write it off. If a national writer and a national broadcaster is out there saying these things and writing these things about one of our guys and we feel strongly against it, it's okay to bring it up. It's okay to talk about it because fans are feeling that too. Fans have that emotion. And that's why I said, and when we started this discussion, when my buddy said, do you think we're a little too sensitive? Probably. But remember,
but you're supposed to be sensitive towards your team, aren't you?
I would hope so. If it's doing as well as it is, yeah. And this team sure as hell is. Speaking of Baker Mayfield, he had this back and forth with a Lions defender.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good little jab from both. Mayfield actually brings up a pretty good point. We'll get to that when we come back in the second hour of Big D Energy. He's Darren McCarty. I'm Matt Shepard. We got Spencer Rachter. We got Mike Gentry. And we've got you on the chat here on Woodward Sports.
And we have the place where you need to go if you want a good workout, and that is Planet Fitness, of course. Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. It's chest day to day. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for just $10 a month, no commitment. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by, 50 in Metro Detroit, and thousands more throughout the world. It's Planet Fitness, Darren McCarty.
Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Savor the heart of home at Big Boy with our all-new down-home comfort dishes. Feast on home-style goodness with our Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl, veal parmigiana, and apple pie hotcakes. The down-home delight doesn't stop there. Potato pancakes are back. Dive into the richness of our perfectly crafted potatoes with our classic potato pancakes and our stuffed potato pancakes. Top off your meal with our new gingerbread shake, a seamless blend of creamy vanilla and sweet gingerbread flavors. Nothing beats the comforting taste of down-home cooking. Enjoy every bite, only at Big Boy.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests, for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
For over 60 years, Fairway Packing Co. has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, Wagyu beef, and dry-aged beef. Experience the Fairway difference for yourself today. Visit the steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods for grab-and-go steaks or order online at fairwaypacking.com. It's Fairway Packing Co., the best meat you can get. Now, back to Darren McCarty and Matt Shepard.
When he reads that and you see that, I want to scream, I hate you. Because I want that so bad.
It's so good, too. Fairway steak.
I know. Second hour of the program, he's Darren McCarty. I'm Matt Shepard. This is Big D Energy, 11 to 1, Monday through Friday here on Woodward Sports. You matter. Fans matter. You were a major factor in the Lions' success this year in home games. There's no doubt about it. Well, I would say road games, too. I mean, look at all the different teams who welcomed the Lions and saw the blue wave of people. All right?
From day one, KC.
From day one in Kansas City. You're absolutely right. You matter. How much do you matter? Because other players are taking notice. Baker Mayfield was asked this week in Tampa about going to Detroit. He wasn't asked by a reporter like their head coach was. He wasn't asked about playing in the elements. Did you hear that, by the way? Did you hear somebody?
Yeah.
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
The Lions have they went from the Pontiac Silverdome to Ford Field. When's the last time they played an outdoor game at home? Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, it was Tiger Stadium.
Okay. Early 70s. We're talking Altie Taylor and Dick Butkus. Think about that for a minute. And this reporter, this goes back to D-Mac's previous point in the last conversation. This reporter actually asked the head coach, hey, what are you going to do for your team to get ready for the elements in Detroit, the outside elements?
Well, where do they stay? Don't they I mean, where's the bus park? Do they pull into the stadium, or do they have to get out and walk?
Yeah, they got to go out and walk a little bit.
Spenny and I have been bitching all week about crossing the road.
That's true.
It's cold, Shep, so if you got to cross Woodward here, I mean, what's that?
It is slushy.
400 feet?
Yeah, it's slushy.
I got the video right here.
Yeah.
Let me get it in here.
Yeah, it is slushy. You're right about that. I find it very, very odd that someone could be that wrong about something.
Very
and of course,
lack of touch.
I have the video.
Okay,
right here.
let's play it in case people missed it. Check this out.
Coach, looking forward towards Detroit. The weather has been a factor in some of the playoff games, even for the most prepared teams. Today, it's 13 in Detroit, which doesn't compare to some of the temperatures we tend to talk to. Any special plans to acclimate the team to not only endure but perform in those kind of frigid temperatures should you face them in Detroit?
You do know we play indoors, right? And they got a dome. No, nothing planned. We're indoors, and we only have to be outside for 20 seconds getting off the bus, going under the thing, so we'll be okay.
Hats off to Todd
How
Bowles.
could you not love Todd Bowles
He handled that very, very well.
You think? I mean, Matt, because Shep, if you're in the room and you're letting this girl just kill herself here, if you're, to me, you bail her out, right? You know she's going there talking about the weather. As she's saying the weather in Detroit, you're going, thank God we play indoors and we don't got to go outside.
You would say
what?
cut
Could
her
you
off.
imagine if we were playing outdoors? It'd be a whole different thing. Protect. I don't like the way that somebody should have stepped in front. I don't like the way you knew that it was coming. It was a train wreck about to happen, and everybody was quiet. And Todd Bowles respectfully, right? I just think a Dan Campbell or somebody else might have jumped out ahead. You know who reminds me that would have got ahead of that and protected her? John Tortorella, coach of Philadelphia, who
are you kidding me?
He would have. In that instance, if he realized that she honestly made a mistake, right? That wasn't it, and he was in a good mood after winning, going to the next round, he's a guy that would have found a way to make a better clip out of that.
Well, you know Tortorella better than I do. I've interviewed him a number of times. I've always enjoyed it, but I don't have to interview him every day, and he is a guy who... Remember, he's the same guy in New York who said, "Oh, okay, then go blank yourself to a reporter."
But I'm saying after a win going into a game in that, is that guys like that well, Tortorella's the guy that you see that their first rounder not coming and they made the trade, and he goes, I don't know this kid. I don't care. I care about the guy we traded for. That's the only thing that bothered me.
I think that's hilarious. You're blaming. You're taking it out.
I'm not blaming. I'm saying how you could have
blaming
made
the reporter for not knowing what the hell they're talking about since the Lions have played out indoors since 1972.
And I'm always trying for the lesson,
you're a loving
the learning
man.
experience.
You're a loving
That's why
man.
you grizzled veteran reporters right there. Just like the poor young lady was probably in her first. Did anybody find out who asked the question so we can see?
No, but I saw plenty of members of the media, making excuses for her. That's for sure.
Well, then make the excuses step out in front of the
okay. All right.
That's what I got out of it.
Look, it's cool. It's cool. All is good.
But don't you cringe as a reporter?
We all make mistakes.
As a guy
Absolutely.
that does this, do you, or what's your reaction if you're in the room? If you're doing the press conference, right, and you just asked your question, or you're coming up and that question comes out from over the right.
Yeah.
Professionally, you don't interrupt. I know that.
No, you don't do anything like
But
that. It's more of a post. It's probably more of a post press conference comment, like, "Hey, man, it's okay. I've been there, done that." And you feel bad for him. I absolutely felt bad for her. I just thought Todd Bowles handled it very well. Look, I've been in that situation. I interviewed an NBA coach. There were twins playing in the NBA. I said the wrong name of the twin. I got the twins mixed up. Okay, and the NBA coach I didn't think handled it very well, but maybe I deserved it. Other members of the media, it's not like they cut me off. They were laughing. They were laughing at me. And I suppose maybe I deserved to be laughed at. But I didn't sit there and wilt or anything. I kept asking questions, even though I got the wrong first name of the twin. It's not like I didn't know who it was. I just said the wrong name.
Right.
And I'm sure, it's something similar to what she had to deal with. But anyway, as I said, you guys matter, all right? It's pretty obvious when other players and other teams are talking about the loudness, the noise at Ford Field. Baker Mayfield said this about Ford Field. He said, talking to some of the Rams guys, they said it was the loud. And remember, he used to play for the Rams, played a year there. He said, they said it was the loudest thing they have ever heard. We have to be completely ready for that. It comes down to everybody knowing exactly what our game plan is, all the calls to and from, because there could be certain times they might not be able to hear certain things. That's why when you're at the end of a season, you're pushing so hard to get home field. It's a great example right there. When you've got a veteran player, Baker Mayfield, coming out and acknowledging that other players who just left that building said, dude, that's a frickin' Metallica concert. I can't hear. That's hard to do. That's hard to communicate one another. It tells you something about Detroit's fans and the Lions fans in general.
And if you don't think you mattered by taking it over the edge in that game, you made the Rams... You cost them those 2 timeouts. Jared Goff even came on when he was doing his weekly interview and saying the loudness causing 2 timeouts allowed us only to have to get 1 first down at the end of the game. We need to bring it even more. I think I saw a stat, Spenny, in passing that was the 5th loudest any building's ever been. And it was still like 12 decibels lower
this
than
year or
Kansas
in
City.
general?
It was
in
the
general.
3rd loudest NFL stadium all
time.
Ever. Third loudest NFL stadium. And I think it was 5th in like sports.
Okay, 5th in sports, 3rd loudest NFL stadium. In do we know what 1 and 2 is? One's got to be Seattle.
It was Seattle and KC.
Kansas City, yeah.
Yeah.
Kansas City.
And both Seattle's is that indoor?
No.
They're both outdoor.
That is surprising to me.
That is. So we got to bring it a little louder. But to Shep's point, you matter in so many ways. Like, that's a big thing. Now, I ask you this question, Shep, because I think Matthew Stafford was better built for the noise and the experience and stuff. I think Baker Mayfield and this Tampa offensive line or whatever, like, there's some false starts.
Without doubt.
Like, I don't think that he is prepared to handle the noise as well as what Stafford did.
I don't,
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm with. I don't know if he's ill-equipped or if Stafford's better prepared. I just think it's going to be a major factor, and I think how important it has been for Detroit all season long. In addition to just Mayfield and the Rams commenting on it, the Lions, as you know, have as well. But even the Lions' offense has had to pause on the sidelines while reviewing film on their iPads because they can't hear one another and they're right next to one another. That tells you something.
That is. Jared Goff did say that about going through plays on the sideline and having to wait. And they're standing there next to each other in a huddle. And they can't hear each other. I mean, you and I wouldn't be able to hear each other from this far away.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Should be really proud of that.
You should be really proud of that.
Yeah.
Right? And that and like that's the best thing.
Doesn't that make you feel good?
I remember because you know what the vibe was like? It reminded me of Joe Louis back in the day. When we're winning cups and those playoff runs and as loud as that building would get and raucous and you were there. The vibe in there, the energy. It does matter.
Yeah, you know what? Mike G just said the same thing. He said the Joe was damn loud and the fans were on top of the action. Great old barn. I used to, when I covered you guys, I used to make sure and talking to the opposing team, some players, and ask them about Joe Louis Arena. Because I know you as a player loved it. You guys loved playing there. I hated covering games there because the press box sucked.
Well, what do you mean? The afterthought press box?
Yeah, the afterthought press box. But I remember talking with some players who would say, what we love most about this place is how alive it is, but skating out onto the ice and looking up at all the banners and all the numbers and the names and the tradition this place holds. There's something to be said for old stadiums. I know everybody wants the brand new shiny car, but I love nostalgia. I think there's something to be said about that. I don't know if you've ever been to Lambeau. I don't know if you've ever been to Fenway. Yes. I don't know if you've ever been to Dodger Stadium.
I've been to Fenway and Wrigley.
Or Wrigley. But those places, there's something about them. I don't care that Seattle's louder and Kansas City's louder. Give me, and I hate the Packers, but give me Lambeau Field. It's phenomenal there. Fenway Park is special when you're watching a baseball game there. Joe Louis Arena, for as much as I disliked it as a reporter, was special because you could feel it. There was something in the bones. And I think Ford Field's starting to get there with how people are reacting to it as well.
No, that unbelievably said. And it's crazy because as, in football, I guess it's a little different before, the ball snap. But in hockey, when you hear everything until the puck's on the ice. Then you only hear the ice. And then when that puck stops, you hear everything. I'll tell you, dude, one of the greatest, if I go back and replay it, it wouldn't be having the fights, but it would be the end of the fights, skating to the penalty box. And if you'd always see, I'd always try to fight with 5 minutes left in the period so I could go to the dressing room and do that long skate. Or if you'd always see it, I always fight far away from the penalty box just because that skate to the box with all the fans, dude, it's like
it's awesome.
You want to fill that ego right there. That's where it's at.
That's really good. Well, Baker Mayfield must have a bit of an ego because he's been jostling back and forth with a Lions defender. We teased that before. We'll get to it, I promise, when we come back. And video, too. You don't want to miss this. Dan Campbell on how his team is preparing for Tampa. Right after this on Woodward Sports.
Absolutely. Everybody's got football on the brain. Michigan, congratulations on your national championship. Lions, early congratulations on a big win this weekend. It's also the perfect time to shop your home and auto insurance. Shop it like pro with Swiss Insurance. I cover Woodward Sports. They should be covering you too. Give my buddy Mark a call today at Swiss Insurance, 248-800-4177, or go online, SwissINS.com.
At Planet Fitness, you can get energy without the judgment.
Hi, can you help me with this?
You don't know how to use it?
This is better.
Join now through January 19th for just 24 cents down, $10 a month. Never intimidating, always free fitness training and equipment for every workout. Join today during the Big Fitness Energy Sale for 24 cents down, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal extended through January 19th.
Over 50 Metro Detroit locations.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
RIP to the same old Lions. Big thanks to Sheila, Brad, and Dan for putting them to rest. And guess what else has found the grave? Same old rock, paper, scissors. Jack Labrador has revolutionized that tired old game with 2 new symbols and a franchise-changing 3-point play. Discover the action at jacklabrador.gg now and find out why, once you go Jack, you never go back. Now back to Shep and D-Mac.
Welcome back, Big D Energy, Darren McCarty, Matt Shepard, PMG, Spenmo Racks here, doing it on a Thursday. Shep, you were talking about a little bit of banter back and forth between, our guy who, CJ Gardner-Johnson, to me, again, just being him. Being himself, these comments and different things like that. Do we have the comments, Spenny? Or?
Yeah, I got a couple graphics for it. So it started with this one here from Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, where he says, if you give that Tampa wide receiver group a good quarterback, that's a great group. And then Baker Mayfield clapped back, and he said, I don't think you really watched film, because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson mentioned Russell Gage, and he said you got to do a little bit more film study. And then Chauncey Gardner-Johnson came back again, and he said, I do watch film. Go watch the guy before you, my guy. iPad moment 2 loading.
Yeah, originally, so the quote was, I give that Tampa group a good quarterback. That's a good group. Evans, Godwin, Gage, that's a great group. I played against him for a year. And Baker Mayfield basically, as you know, Spencer put up there, but he said he must be going off the preseason stuff the media was talking about, because Gage hasn't taken a snap for us all year long. He's a guy who suffered an injury. I believe it was a torn patella tendon, and has been out all season long. He's been on IR. So, I love the back and forth.
So again, Semantics, you got the name wrong.
I got no problem with it.
Not with. Here's the whole thing, and it goes back to the whole point about him coming out saying it's my job and easy getting all upset. No. Don't paint everybody with the same brush. This is this guy. Why you brought him in here to be him? This is him. He's chirps all the time, right? So why wouldn't he be there? This doesn't. It works when that's his role and that's his guy, and the fact that he's been there with Philly and stuff like that.
I think it's great. I think it's great.
It's not out of character,
right?
But
I don't think it's out of character for Baker Mayfield either. So don't expect him not to chirp back. I'm sure there's people in Tampa right now going, I think it's awesome that our quarterback is getting a little bristled and willing to chirp back.
Here's the two things. If you ask my opinion about C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Baker Mayfield, a lot of stuff that they say is to motivate themselves.
Yeah.
It's self-motivation. If you can't see that, then some guy's got to put it out there so that they own up to it or challenge himself, because C.J. Gardner-Johnson knows that he opens his mouth. Now he got to be Muhammad Ali and back that shit up. Right? The greatest thing about Muhammad Ali is that he would talk and then he would deliver.
Right.
So how do you argue with that?
No, I agree.
That's all we need. So that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yep. Sugar Ray Leonard, same thing. Now, there are some people who don't like it, and that's fine. We don't all have to agree on everything. That's okay. But what I like about it is, to me, that reveals who they are, number one. And number two, that is what they're going to be doing on the field on Sunday afternoon in Detroit.
Plus, how many guys do you hear out of this locker room this way? One guy. This guy. The rest of them, about their business. Let him. He's their spokesman.
Yeah, you got to have a guy like that, don't you think?
He's their mouthpiece.
Yep.
Right to the same way as Dan Campbell's preaching, hit with your head up so you don't hurt yourself. Like he's saying, that's CJ being CJ. You knew what you're at, and you had to add that, as you say, dog. Right?
Yeah.
He's that dog. Now we just need that dog. Go out and bite some kneecaps and get it done.
And Andrew Jones in the chat says, in Baker's head before the game even starts. Would you agree with that?
I'm not worried about being Baker's head. It's Baker's full-fledged ability. You know what I mean? And if anybody, I think you're going to throw off in something like this, more so it would be Baker than it would be C.J. Gardner-Johnson. This is just who he is. Bro, if you meet this guy at the liquor store and something, he got to be chirping. He's that dude, man. This is just who this dude is, and I love it.
You like that about him, don't you?
I love that about him because it's genuine. You're not seeing. I've seen so many people like in my life, act the role. No, he's just being himself, and then you got to realize that, and that's when you realize, like, that's what you learned in Scotty Bowman, the greatest psychologist, not just coach. Right? Is you don't treat everybody the same because they're not the same. You got to figure out what their motivation makes them click. This is what makes this guy click, and he's healthy, right? And he's got a lot of pent-up energy from not playing all year. So you know what? These are all the conversations and questions, and I see it. This is a self-motivator guy, right? He ain't looking for the coach. He ain't looking for to get him fired up. He does that himself every day he wakes up.
As long as he, as you mentioned with Muhammad Ali, and I said with Sugar Ray Leonard, that's an individual sport, so maybe those are not always the best examples. But I think you understand what I'm talking. Yeah. As long as you back it up. As long as you play the way you're supposed to play.
The more you talk, the bigger you got to play.
That's right.
Right? So, and he knows that. That's the whole thing, is that, like, he's just winding himself into playing his greatest game ever. That's all I see it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be. If he's quiet, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Like, that guy. Everybody else doesn't need to say shit. Everybody else has to play the proverbial line and give you the quotes, and it's going to be a hard fought game.
It should not surprise
not
us.
him.
It shouldn't surprise us that it's a member of Detroit's secondary, because those guys, as much as anybody else in sports, have to have short memories. Goalies need it. Quarterbacks need it. Cornerbacks / safeties these days absolutely need it. I would also add, if you want to look at each sport, shooters have to do it. How many times do we see it? Devin Booker hasn't found his range yet. Now, keep shooting, man. Shoot your way out of it. It happens. You're going to find your rhythm. And he does. Goalies, you got to have a short memory. Bad goal, not going to let the next one get by me. Quarterbacks, bad throw, it was picked, doesn't mean I stopped throwing. Cornerbacks, same thing. You're going to give up big plays. You're going to give up touchdowns. You're going to give up first downs. You're going to get flagged for pass interference. Got to have a short memory. This dude kind of epitomizes what cornerbacks' mentality really is. Don't you think?
Yeah, 100 million %. And it's taken to that's where, and when it's the bend but don't break defense, they know what they're up against. Pretty much, guys, CJ Gardner-Johnson just told you what I've been telling you. You're going to let Baker Mayfield beat you. We know that they got greatness all around them, but are you going to let him beat? And by him saying if they had a quarterback, I think that's the. But in knowing that, you got to go out and deliver.
Dan Campbell talked about what it's going to take to beat the Buccaneers. We discussed this just the other day. A team that blitzes an awful lot. Campbell and the Lions will be ready, not just because they played them earlier this year, but knowing that it might be a different look from Tampa this time around.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot going on. I think we should go to break real quick, and then we can get into all of that. So first, let me tell you guys about Big Boy, because wintertime in Detroit is always better with comfort foods from a Big Boy. Try the veal parmesan or the new Southern Comfort chicken bowl. How about breakfast? The stuffed potato pancakes are back. The classic lumberjack or Santa Fe garden. Also the new apple pie hotcakes that are too good to miss. Top it all off with a gingerbread shake for dessert. All of that and more at your local Big Boy.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Are you tired of the same old Detroit sports wearables? Well, make sure you check out woodwardsports.com/shop to find the best merch in the game. We got winter hats, we got hoodies, sweaters, everything you need to stay warm during the winter, and with all the best designs brought to you by Woodward Sports. Make sure you just go to woodwardsports.com and click the shop tab to find the best Detroit sports wearables.
Oh, there you go. Big D energy.
I know that we there's some things that we need to do because we do them well, and we can't go away from that. But at the same token, we got to be smart about how we attack them. You know, it's some of this, the sledgehammer against a steel door can only last for so long. You know, we got to be smart about it. I just bring up Vita Vea, and then, just them creating the edges here with your overhangs. They got length, size, explosiveness. Cansey's explosive up the middle, and then obviously, Levante can run. 45 can run. 52 can run and come downhill. Winfield's hell of a player. So they just, their personnel and the way that they do things, their corners are really good, long, athletic. They just, when you're able to pressure the way they pressure, you're able to keep everything boxed in with your overhangs, and you got size in the middle and speed. It's tough. It's going to be tough. So I think for us, it's, we have to find a way to stay efficient. We certainly can't have TFLs, We know we can't drop back 50 times in this game either. So, and look, our defense is going to need to play well. And they can, and they should.
Good stuff from Dan Campbell here on Woodward Sports. He's Darren McCarty. I'm Matt Shepard. Let's remember one thing from earlier this year in their first meeting. First of all, it was really early. I think Detroit's 6th game, Tampa's 5th game, because Tampa was coming off a bye. So they did have 2 weeks to prepare, and Detroit still beat them 20-6. Jared Goff in that game threw for 353 yards and 2 touchdowns. He threw 44 times. All right? I'm not saying that's the recipe for success. I just want you to remember, there was no Jahmyr Gibbs in that game, and David Montgomery got hurt. Detroit rushed for only 40 yards. Craig Reynolds was the Lions' leading rusher in that game. Craig Reynolds. What Tampa's going to see this time is going to be, I think, vastly different than what they saw the first time.
Especially out of the backfield.
Right. That's what I mean.
Right, with Thunder and Lightning, and you have both guys healthy. You saw the way I think that they'll continue to try to get Gibbs out on the outside and hammer Montgomery up the middle. I think that, as far as if any of us go back to that Rams game, we were sitting here in the live stream. Everybody wanted the ball. Everybody wanted that drive, right? The way that they started it and looked efficient and running the ball and wasn't going to get stopped. Thinking that they want the same thing this time. But it is a totally different beast. This is along with, Tampa Bay, they're playing better, right? They're going to be well prepared. I don't think it's going to be as close of a game as it was with the Rams. I'm not as worried, right? Because I think we match up. And again, I just go back. I'm not letting Baker Mayfield beat me, man. And you know what? I go back to that first game too. Shep, there were a couple throws that he missed, right? Wide open throws. So I'm looking for the adjustments made, especially in the secondary. I'm already good with, I know that either Godwin or Evans are going to go off. But hey, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think they are, quite honestly.
Okay.
I really don't.
But I don't think Rondell White is going to – I think that what they did to Kellen Williams coming in here, being one of the hottest running backs in the league in our rush defense, I think it's just going to continue. That is one of the big underrated focal points of this year.
Rachaad White the longest run he had against Detroit was 8 yards.
No, I think they'll continue that.
Yeah.
But he's had some success as they've played well.
Sure, it's a different team. I can't keep going back to that box score. I just do think, look, some of the things that I read in game 1 between these two teams is going to be very important for the rematch on Sunday. And one of them specifically, I believe, is third down conversions. Tampa was 2 for 12. They couldn't stay on the field when it comes to that situation. I immediately went toward Goff and what he didn't have in Gibbs and Montgomery getting hurt after, I think, 6 carries. And Amon St. Brown had 12 rocks for 124 yards and a touchdown. And I neglected, shame on me, to give kudos to what should be the first thing we think of, and that was Detroit's defense in that game. You give up, 6 points, just a couple of field goals, and 251 total yards, and pick off Baker Mayfield once. That's a win, no matter who you're playing. So kudos to Detroit's defense that I think has gotten better, especially over the last few weeks, than the way they were playing at that time.
Well, absolutely, they're getting better. Obviously they're getting people back. We saw, how effective C.J. Gardner-Johnson can be in there. Malifalu, obviously conversations hearing from James Houston that he's hoping to be ready to play which we've all said, we only need 10 snaps out of you, bud, because you're probably going to get there twice.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever it is, just to see that dynamic. Again, the linebacking core, we've talked about them, has done a heck of a job. Anzalone playing through injury and just like the season that they've had and being, that second level to that rush defense. So, like when you break that down, that's sort of, and I'm not expecting Baker not to throw a touchdown or whatever, but I'm expecting more of that line than not that line. One interception, maybe a couple field goals and a touchdown, and that's where you get a 27-17 game. So something like that. That's how I have it breaking down. So with the defense that we had in Tampa for that game, how much better are we on paper now? How much better are we playing that game, the first playoff game against the Rams, all the games down the stretch and stuff like this? So,
yeah, fair or unfair, and it's probably unfair. I oftentimes look at, I oftentimes will compare teams. Now, I suppose the finals could kind of fly in the face of a little sarcasm and deflect a little bit. But when I see Detroit limiting a good Rams offense to 23 points, I don't see Tampa's offense being able to match that. I just don't think they can score on the Lions. Now, they did score 32 against Philly, but Philly's defense, led by Matt Patricia and the pencil in his ear, has been awful. And their inability to tackle. You can say what you want about the Lions, but I think for the most part,
the inability. What was the biggest thing? You absolutely nailed it if you watch that Tampa Bay Philly game, especially early.
Tackle.
We don't miss tackles.
Except,
we do,
Dallas,
but
when Dak Prescott gets out and finds CeeDee Lamb.
What I meant to say is we gang tackle.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody to the ball. So
team.
when one guy misses them, there's usually 2 or 3 guys there. You didn't see that, right? It's a pack mentality with this group, especially on defense, right?
Agreed, that.
What do we say about Derek Barnes? And I know that he's, gave up that, should have had the sack in the end zone against Dak and stuff like this, but sort of learned from it. But he's, played better and tackled better for the most part. That's what Jack Campbell, when you get in his lane and he can get his hands on you, he's bringing you down.
Yeah.
So, again, it's just put him in the right position. But bottom line, this defense that we have playing at home is playing better. And would you say is probably at the point of playing the best that they have? Like, this, to me, this could be the coming out party again where they have the best game because they are the healthiest.
Yeah, it's all, I suppose, it's all in the eyes of the beholder. It's funny you say that because I feel the exact same way, okay? And I read an article yesterday that, I don't want to say dissed the Lions, but a guy who's been covering the NFL for decades at CBSSports.com, Pete Prisco, picks Tampa in the game. And the reason he cites is that the Lions' defense has shown some holes in it, that they've been a little leaky, all right? That they've showed some flaws.
And, I agree. But where is he being specific? And it's got to be in the passing game that he thinks that Baker Mayfield and their receivers are going to run wild and over the middle and all that stuff and exploit that, correct?
Yeah. Well, to a certain extent, yeah. I mean, I don't think he dove deep into that. But I don't, maybe he's not watching. We focus so much on our teams. Right? So we're watching every little idiosyncrasy, and I can't expect national writers or national analysts to do the same thing. But I found that to be borderline offensive when you're telling me that the Lions defense is leaky when they kind of hold the Rams to just 6 points in the second half. And I'm thinking, did you watch any of their games down the stretch? A, and holding Dallas, a team that averaged 40 points per game at home, to half that. And B, what about Tampa? You're going to use the Eagles game strictly as your barometer for Tampa's defense? Let's get real here for a second. Look at what their defense did against Detroit in the first meeting. Look at their defense as a whole this season against some teams. let's be careful on exactly what we're using, how much we're using as our barometer. Too many times we get caught up in the moment instead of looking at the big picture of things. And I think this guy did just that.
Well, because he believes that the bend will break Detroit. And what does that mean? He means that all these receiving or the offense that Tampa's be able to put up will end up in touchdowns. I don't believe that. You just gave me the track record that this team, go back to Dallas, go back to Minnie, go back to last week. It's coming into its own defensively as far as understanding. Because there's self-awareness of what they are. Right? Okay, we give away the rush. They don't care. When they got to tighten up and lock it down, they're able to do that. And then why would it be any different against Baker Mayfield? We're talking about Baker Mayfield. I don't care. Right? I mean, I'm in the same way.
You're not getting off that, are you? You're not getting off
I'm not getting off. I'm not letting Baker Mayfield freaking ruin my season. Bottom line.
You realize, though, and I love the passion regarding that argument, and I don't disagree with the argument. You realize, though, you could kind of make the same argument for a lot of other guys left on the NFC. Jordan Love, Brock Purdy.
Well, the San Fran, see, Brock Purdy is so insulated by the rest of his team and his coach and stuff like that you got to give him that respect, right? Yeah, it has to, because Brock Purdy and San Francisco, right? They do for him what Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes do for Jared Goff. They know what they have in that quarterback. You keep him upright, you keep him efficient and moving the ball around to all those weapons, he's good.
Yeah, he is. He's really good. I think every team, for the most part, has weapons, but I think they're accentuated a little bit more because San Francisco wins with an elite defense, the best running back in football, and probably one of, if not the best, Swiss Army knife outside of Tyreek Hill in Deebo Samuel. When we come back, the guy who epitomizes grit. You've seen Dan Campbell wear it on the podium. Grit, right? Who's the guy who epitomizes that as much as anybody else besides Dan Campbell? Dan Campbell may have answered that question. We'll have it for you when we come back on Woodward Sports.
But first, guys, what happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand. You offer more products to more people. This is exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC. The same great service customers have come to know and trust on Woodward Ave, just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today. Find the brand you want. LesStanford.com.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
I was impressed. He helped us. You know, he was not 100%, but he helped us win that game. He did exactly what we needed him to do for that game, and he's coming along. He's gotten better. He feels better than he did this time last week. That's encouraging. And so I just, I go back to this. I think that's for a young player that doesn't know what this is, and I'm not 100%, to be able to. He knew he could get this done. And he could help us, I think goes a long way. That's not an easy thing for a young player. And there again, if we believed that this was going to be some man, if you do this now, the odds of you, you're going to set yourself back for years, or you'll never be the same player. We wouldn't put him out. We wouldn't even talk about it. So it's about the way the player believes in himself, what he can get done, and so he stepped up and helped us.
That's Dan Campbell talking about the guy who epitomizes grit for this Lions team. Not that every player doesn't, they do. But he was talking specifically about the grit and the toughness of his rookie tight end, Sam Laporta, who had just 3 catches against the Rams for 14 yards, but one of them a key touchdown catch on what has been one of the greatest seasons in NFL history for a rookie tight end.
You know what the bigger thing was?
What's that?
And what you see is his blocking in the run game.
For sure.
Right? You couldn't imagine. That's the biggest miss that I would see. And I think the fact where Dan Campbell emphasized it is the imperativeness of, because he's a rookie. This was, I know, a first playoff game for a lot of guys, but this is his rookie season and stuff like this. To know that your tight end, let alone any position player, right, is willing to do whatever it takes. And the best part there is hey, Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and everybody, they're not careless, right? This was to the fact that it was given that no structural this is going to be pain, you're going to just have to tolerate, it's going to be sore, but it's not going to, you can't injure it anymore. As a player, Shep, that's all you need to hear, number one, because the rest of it is like sack up, right, to the rest of your team. Now, again, to Sam Laporta, everything that I'm saying, why would it be so important to get out there? It's because what he knew that the rest of these teams, and this is, doesn't matter if it's your first year, whatever like that, it's that maturation to understand what your role is making this team successful. And there's a pride in the fact of knowing that no one can do what you do. I felt the exact same way. No matter what, no one was ever taking my job. No one was ever, because they couldn't do everything that I did. But I had to make sure, no matter what. And yes, I missed a lot, like regular season games, injuries and stuff. Never missed a playoff game, right? Because you'd find a way, no matter what it was. Now, as you get more experience, you realize yourself. So the biggest learning experience is the fact that he did it, especially after the rookie year that he had, and the effectiveness. Not only the 4th and 1 touchdown catch, but to me, you see him. I mean, how many times you see him with that big leg brace on, but coming across the formation, picking up that, that end for the block or whatever, Spring in Montgomery or Gibbs. So, guaranteed everybody on that team is playing with a lot of grit and stuff like that, but I think it's very, that's strategic too by Dan Campbell to single out Sam Laporta in that way, because it's just sort of, hey, here's your flowers, we know, and they know how important he is to their success. So, that's you need these things to go your way, right? You need the bounces, the calls and stuff like that, but the biggest thing in sports, the playoffs, is staying healthy.
Yeah. 86 rocks, 890 yards, 10 touchdowns for Sam Laporta this year. We'll be back there Sunday against Tampa. That's a great sign for sure. You mentioned that it's his first playoff game. For a lot of those guys, it's their first. For a lot of guys, it's not. They're veterans to it. How did you grow from your first playoff game, or even maybe in your case, first playoff series, to your next?
Well, yeah, you got to look at our first, and we'd won the President's Trophy and lost the 7 games to San Jose, our first one, and you're sort of like looking around because you don't know what to expect. It's sort of something new, so you're sort of learning from that. But what it is, you look at the mistakes, that were made. That's when changes are made, right? I know that we made changes, but the next year we made it to the finals. But that's a whole different beast, a whole nother level of getting swept by Jersey. And then what did you learn that time?
Yeah.
And it doesn't always happen right away, because then you think that losing in the finals is the worst thing ever to do. No, setting the league record and losing in the conference finals, Colorado. Right. And I remember sitting on the bus going, oh my God, it's the scariest feeling ever. We may never get back. You get there, you win the President's Trophy. Okay, it wasn't supposed to happen, but upsets happen. Okay, it won't happen again. You go and you lose in the finals. Well, we made it to the finals. We own this conference or whatever. We'll get back. We'll get ours. Then you don't even get there, and you realize how hard it is, and you look around the room to the Hall of Famers, and you go, holy shit. That's some soul. So really it comes down to, at the end of the day, when we had that next opportunity against Philly, and we were the underdogs, and they were the big bat, right?
Yeah.
But in our locker room, no way. Didn't matter, especially first game in Philly, being able to win that game, and then it was sort of like using that.
So what do you think? I mean, a guy like Sam Laporta, a guy like Amon St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, whomever, even a lot of guys on the offensive line, what do you think, all of them, what do you think their biggest takeaway from their first playoff game will be that will behoove them for their second career playoff game?
If I do my job, my responsibility, to the best of my ability and better than the guy I'm up against, we win. I mean, it's as simple as that, but it's more so that simpler is better. I don't have to do your job and your job and your job. I got to do my job. If it's Sam Laporta, I don't care. If I only get 3 touches and stuff like this and whatever, I got to make sure that when it's on 4th and goal and we got trips right and the defensive guy is in the lane I want to be in, well, I got to have trust in my quarterback and the stuff that I can make a play. Or at the end of the day, maybe they won't go to me as much, and I got to pick up my blocks because the block. That's the best part too, right? As offensive running and Thunder and Lightning, Montgomery and Gibbs, the wide receivers, tight ends, everybody else takes as much pride in blocking for these guys. And that's it. So the bottom line right now is what they're doing is like, hey guys, look, if we do our job to the best of our ability, we won't be denied.
I think that's interesting. You said that sometimes simple is better.
Simplify. What got you there? What do you like?
Why does it take getting to the playoffs to simplify things? Why can't you do that during the regular season, do you think? Or do you believe that's how it should be in the regular season too?
You know, it's harder. It's more, you get more of that mentality, right, when you've been there in the playoffs and try to get it over, but until you've been there, right, because it's preaching, and until you experience something or go through it, you don't know how you're going to react, right? So you got to take that experience from it, and I think that the veteran teams, right, so in any league, right, when you see that, you see them get into sort of playoff mentality, or like the best teams in the leagues, when they get out front and ahead in the standings, you don't see them fall. Like every now and then you might see that dive. You may see them lose, 2 games in a row or whatever, but why are the Bostons and, all the other teams always at the top? Because they take care of the business that they need to, more in a playoff mentality.
Yeah. And then Boston goes out and loses the way they did a year ago.
That's sports.
That's sports. Right.
It's hard to Boston, and you look at the way that they've come back, and I know we switched back to hockey here, but you know what? Question marks in them. They can't move on without their captain. They can't do this and that. And what do? They just keep rolling.
They keep rolling.
Because that's the culture. And even though they hit the hiccup in the playoffs, they're going to try to learn from it this year.
Yeah. Lions are expecting to do the same thing. So I think it's a fascinating trajectory on how players and teams in general advance, because we like to use, you and I talked about it a couple of days ago, we like to use the fact that we believe teams have to experience something in order to achieve the next thing. I would argue that's not always the case. And I'll use the 1980 Lakers as an example. Magic Johnson and company, it didn't require them to lose. They beat Philly in Philly without their best player, and they won their championship in the first year. They could be the exception to the rule, but I think sometimes we use, your word earlier, broad brushes to paint situations, almost making excuses for our teams. Well, that's okay. The Wings had to experience a heartbreak to get there. The Pistons had to experience a heartbreak to get there. The Lions may have to experience a heartbreak to get there. It's not always the case. And to your point, and I loved it when you were sitting on the bus, I think that's a great story. Oh my God, am I going to get back? Tigers. They didn't get back. 2006, they got there. They fell flat on their face against St. Louis. 2012, they got there. Fell flat on their face against San Francisco. Couldn't get it done. Should have beaten St. Louis.
Series still hurts me.
St. Louis probably, or San Francisco, the better team, but should have won that. Never got that ring. Those guys never got that ring.
That's sports. So my question to you, right, and there are misnomers, and Magic Johnson, as we see, would you not say one of the most special athletes, right? So it takes something special, but to your point, did all that learning not happen in the last, 30 years for us fans and stuff like that? So you don't know that the way that it plays out, because you look at the way that things are playing out right now with the path that you have, and you can only play what's in front of you, but you have Tampa coming in home. There's also an opportunity, right? They got to play the game. Green Bay, San Francisco. So maybe the pathway is to win this game, and Green Bay finds a way to win. If not, you know the path ahead of you.
How great would that be?
That would be amazing. Hosting the NFC Championship game.
Oh, incredible. So there's a little bit of a controversy taking place in two teams that have been eliminated from the NFL playoffs. Two primary players have come out in support of their coaches. One of them has actually said he's a winner. How do we describe a winner in sports? D-Mac's take on that when we come back on Big D Energy on Woodward Sports after this.
But first, experience Dispo Dispenser, a team that curates an unbelievable atmosphere. Dispo is now giving out 2 tickets to this year's Super Bowl. OMG. Go on Dispo's Instagram page at dispo.michigan and follow directions on the pinned post. Or scan the QR code and it will take you there. Let's get you sports fans to Vegas. Dispo Dispensary, disposhops.com. Your local cannabis plug.
Feel alive during Feldman Chevrolet's biggest New Year's sales event ever. Get the best prices on our huge selection of award-winning Chevrolets. Like this 2024 Equinox for $188 per month. Or this 2024 Silverado for $268 per month. It's the New Year's sales event going on now at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
The Lions have won a playoff game, and what does that mean? Well, another tailgate party. Whoop, whoop. Join us for the Ultimate Lions VIP tailgate this Sunday, hosted by Bullseye Event Group, sponsored by Spenny's favorite long drink. Or what were those little shooter things you were drinking?
Kettle One frozen strawberry lemonades.
The Kettle One frozen strawberry, that they'll be down there. But you had both, right? One in one hand, one in the other, washing it down. All you can eat, food, drinks, music, excitement. Let's roar together down Eastern Market. What's Shed?
Shed number 5.
Shed number 5. Bullseye is now offering a Lions ticket and tailgate ticket combo. Did you hear that? Bullseye is now offering a Lions ticket and tailgate ticket combo. So go to bullseyeeventgroup.com today and get your tickets. Wrapping up here, Big D Energy. Matt Shepard, thank you again, sir. Been another wonderful.
Always love it.
Wonderful show. Neil will be back tomorrow. Lindsay will be in. D-Mac will be out. I will actually be up and back on the comedy tour circuit Saturday up in Grayling.
Where at?
The Timber.
Nice.
Timber something.
How do you like that?
If I remember. I don't know. But we're coming up to Grayling.
How's the pressure is probably the wrong word. How's the intimidation of playing in a Stanley Cup final compared to standing on a stage with a microphone by yourself and a hot lamp on you?
Well, when it comes to me, you remember, I've never met a microphone I didn't like.
Yeah.
So to me, it gives me everything. Like I always tell everybody, is that I ain't a comic. I ain't a musician. I ain't a wrestler. I'm an entertainer. So I get up there, like the minute I step out there and I lock in, because it's different for me, right? To whatever, like if I do the jokes or comedy, stuff like that, that's me, messing around. Telling stories and connecting with the people, and the beauty, Shep, is the fact that all the 5, 10, 15-year-olds are now 30, 35, 40, 45, which means they've lived life.
Yeah.
So when I go through the March 26th and the experience and the story or whatever, or even to the younger audience, right, to bring that connection, it's that culture and stuff like this. So to me,
they can appreciate it.
The thing is just like anything else, is like to get my brain to slow down enough to stay on point to the topic at hand.
I'm sure you'll do just great as always. 2 interesting notes from the NFL as we get ready to exit here today. 2 coaches coming back. One's not a surprise, Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia. Mike McCarthy in Dallas is. And immediately people feel like he's a lame duck coach because he's got 1 year left on his contract. Mike McCarthy went 12-5, and they've won 12 games, I believe, 3 years in a row. They were the number 2 seed, as you know. They led the league in offense at 30 points per game. Dak Prescott led the league in touchdown passes with 36, and CeeDee Lamb led the league in receptions with 135. They were 8-0 at home until they lost and were dismantled and humbled and beaten to a pulp by Green Bay. None of that stuff mattered. Mike McCarthy is coming back. Players, primarily Dak Prescott, have voiced their support. In terms of Philadelphia, Fletcher Cox, who's accomplished a great deal in his career, the defensive tackle who seems to never age, was asked after the 1-6 finish about his coach, and he said, quote, "What is there to talk about? He's a winner. He's a winning head coach. Did we have bumps this year? Every team, every organization, everybody goes through it. We don't look at firing a man that has won 10-plus games 2 years in a row. He does a really good job." When he said he's a winner, that's the thing that perked me a little bit. Not that I don't think he is, but how do we define winner? Do you have to win the final game? Do you have to be a champion? Do you have to wear a belt and grab a ring? What is it?
I think there's different kinds of winners, right? Or different levels, maybe, of winning. Mm-hmm. When you're talking about the whole recipe or the whole career, stuff like that, yeah, I think championships have to play a part in it. But again, right now in this league today, right, winning 10 games in the NFL is hard. I mean, it's a whole thing. Are you gonna, it's almost like, are you gonna just throw this guy away because he hit a bump in the road when his track record is winning games? Mm-hmm. Who else? What's your alternative? So to me, going to the Super Bowl and then having sort of the bumps in the road. Now we're going to find out how good of a coach he is, because I don't think he should go anywhere. This is what coaching's all about. Other great coaches have these spots. What defines a great coach is if you can pull them out of this doldrum, right? It's not when things are going good. It's when things are going bad. That's not the question mark. The one that I think left everybody was Dallas.
Yeah.
Right? But to the fact, too, because they've had more kicks at the cat, right? Mike McCarthy, more of it was supposed to have been done this year or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I think they're in a little bit different situations. Again, Mike McCarthy has the track record. Mm-hmm. He has the ring and credentials. A lot of times, too, that's going to hang on to your job later on, right? Sure. So I think that Philadelphia realized they already made that big wrong move and panicked a lot earlier when they lost to San Fran or whatever and changed coaches. I think that right now, Jeffrey Lurie, who I think is a great owner, is sitting back with Howie Roseman, their GM, who I think is a good GM, and just saying, okay, pump the brakes here. Mm-hmm. Things fell apart, but they're not as bad as we think they are. We have the pieces. How are we going to move forward?
Yeah,
so.
I that's why I'm glad that was a great answer. I think the thing that I always look at when people say you got to win championships, I have to constantly remind people that it is a team sport, right? When you got names like Iginla, right, Brad Park, who is a great player, huh?
Cicerelli.
Dino, never won one. When you've got guys like Dan Marino and Anthony Munoz and LaDainian Tomlinson and Randy
Charles
Moss,
Barkley.
and you got Patrick Ewing and Tracy McGrady and Allen Iverson, Fran Tarkenton, those guys never won. John Stockton never won, right? Team sports. It's a little different.
I think that number one,
golf or
when
tennis.
it comes to coaching, though, the winner is, can you connect with your players?
Yeah.
Do you have that connection to your players?
If you
right?
win 12
And-
games, do you think you're connecting with your players?
Say that again?
If you're winning 12 games on a regular basis, do you think you're connecting with your players?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you got to figure out what's the misconnect,
Right.
because there's
something.
some holes.
Yep. In the words of Seinfeld, there's something missing, all right. Glad you didn't miss our show today. Thanks to everybody for joining us. We really appreciate it, especially to our producer, Spencer Raxler and Mike Gentry. D-Mac, have a great weekend, my man.
Too.
Enjoy Sunday.
Appreciate
The Lions
everybody.
winning.
Go Lions.
You bet.
We'll be here for the stream. Buckle up, baby. 3 o'clock. Deuces.